Okay, but did you?
leadership.
That's very similar to what I just heard about
Yeah,
in France. Did you hear what they passed in France? This
you have
new
to get the vaccine.
Orwellian. No,
Okay, what?
it's a new Orwellian lockdown rule that says that the only the only way you can go out to the store to buy groceries or to the club or to the movies or to the bookstore is by getting the government permission first.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. The big news on my radar is well, there's a lot, but the one that always strikes me is important is something that Edward Snowden considers like extreme. Because if he considers it extreme, it's probably a serious issue facing civil liberties. So I was looking into it, and they're going to be releasing little by little throughout the week. I don't know if you've ever heard, or if you've heard anything about it yet, or if you've been keeping up to date. But Snowden found out that, according to his sources, the old Pegasus software that Israel created to eavesdrop on, foreign citizens has been used now on all the foreign leaders and not just foreign leaders, public figures, journalists, academics, etc., throughout the world, bro,
Wow.
world over, man. And like if they keep talking about, they meaning the mainstream media here in the United States keeps talking about how Russia tampered with the elections, Russia's hacking these uh, gas stations and these oil pipelines, et cetera, et cetera. If they're so worried about that, why the hell isn't the Democrat Party or mainstream media news like even like whispering about this news, man?
Because it's all
It's
charade.
it's telling, but
Yeah.
what's that?
And we know China too has been spying on us more than Russia ever has in these past 4 years. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
all
but
a
I mean,
charade, man.
but with regards to Israel, like
Right.
Israel's been spying on us since the 1950s, man.
Right.
And
Right.
why do we allow it? Is the real question. That's really kind of what I'm getting at here. Why do we allow it? It's a
Well,
serious question, and like
yeah.
it's not helping us at all to allow them to steamroll us, and it's like they consider themselves our daddies or something, man. Like that's what really pisses me off. These disgusting leeches, dude, and they're the ones that take all of our money, man. Like we're the ones busting our asses over here, sending tax dollars overseas to their country, and then they're spying on us. Really?
You know, my point is the reason why we're allowing it is because, uh, like they have the right people paid off or whatever. Like the whole it's the same reason why no one cares about Silwell sleeping with a Chinese spy. Because I don't know, man. It's whoever has the right politicians paid off gets away with it, and I think Israel has been doing that for 50 years, 60, 70 now with us. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's really disappointing to me, and it just more and more and more this past year, especially, I've become very heartbroken by the U.S. government and how much they actually care about their own people. A couple other things line up on that category. Um, the immigration crisis, uh, blatant ploy to get more votes for the Democratic Party at the expense of the American people in the middle of a pandemic.
Can
Um,
you imagine? Oh
yeah.
my god, man. I mean, it's seriously, this is what they did to us like 6 years ago too, when they had this influx of undocumented kids and stuff that were coming into the United States, and then all of a sudden we found ourselves in some. Do you remember this in like 2000? I think 13 or 14, somewhere around there. Like there was like this respiratory illness going around among young children around the country,
Oh yeah,
mostly like the
mayors, I think.
Northeast. and
Yeah.
like it was a strange phenomena that just kind of came and went, and nobody thought to parallel that to the income or the influx of all those immigrants that were coming in that year. You know, that was like there was like a huge surge 2014 or something like that, 2015.
Right. Yeah, yeah, and this is the thing. It goes away when there's a Republican president, Donald Trump. I guess in that same category too, this probably related to China. Is like Donald Trump stopped the NIH funding of uh, gain of function research, and then Fauci started it back up again, and then now in the hearings are this is current right now. Actually, on our channel, I just posted the past three hearings between Rand Paul and Fauci about how we funded the research in the Wuhan lab that led to the COVID outbreak all over the world, and the left media is now accusing like Rand Paul of
Yeah,
being
right.
out of line for like saying like, "Hey Fauci, if you lie to Congress in a Senate hearing, you could go to jail for 5 years." And then the left media is like, "Here, Rand Paul is threatening a scientist." It's like he's not really that much of a scientist. And
But
yeah,
that's regardless of the point. Like the
yeah,
dude did lie.
yeah,
He basically, what they did, you understand what happened is that
right,
they didn't categorize those actual studies as gain of function research, so they technically didn't qualify as doing them in the
right,
technical sense, but they
yeah,
did them just because they didn't like label them properly at the time.
right. You're right. Yeah,
They purposely didn't label them gain of function research, even though they were gain of function research,
yeah,
using bat and animal DNA and then somehow transmitting that into human virus. That is gain of function. That's not. There is no other definition of it.
right.
And Fauci said, no, we didn't do it because we didn't label it such. But did you do scientific research from animal to human transmission? Yes. Isn't that gain of function research? Yes. Did you label it gain of function research at the time? No, we accidentally didn't do it. Therefore, we didn't do it. What?
Yeah,
What? We're living
yeah.
in a fucking Twilight world, bro.
Hell yeah.
Like Twilight Zone, man.
Yeah, it also very much reminds me of during Obama's 8 years in office, he bombed twice as many countries as George Bush did and got a pass from the media because he's a Democrat. And the same thing's happening with Biden. Like, Biden is way more racist than Trump ever was, and no one pays attention to it. And just like they're covering for Obama's butt and Biden's butt, they're covering for Fauci's butt and the stupid sheep of this population who doesn't care about the news like we do. Just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, poor Fauci, poor victim who has to go through these hearings.
Huh.
It's unbelievable, man.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just to bridge that gap, man. It's unbelievable how gone news is from the mainstream media. Uh, like even Fox News, all they've been doing for the past few months has been championing the idea of getting vaccinated, and it's um, and uh, obviously, if you know anything about media, this is a very important factor of it. The biggest payers of advertisement in mass media is big pharma, and it's why if you get to a commercial break while watching any sort of news, even your local news, it's all like big pharma ads for like drugs you can take and stuff. And yeah, no one even bats an eye when you see ads for like, are you depressed? Take this drug. If you take it, thoughts of suicide will happen, and you might start pooping blood, and um, we've just been. That's part of like how we've been conditioned this past decade in this country, is we just accept side effects. Like, oh yeah, no, side effects can happen, and everyone I know now knows someone who has had an adverse reaction to the vaccine for COVID, and I know some people who know people who have died from taking that vaccine, and because of us just being conditioned to accept that vaccines have side effects, we now like aren't even phased by a vaccine which now has been reported as much on VAERS as having as much as 500,000 adverse reactions. And because the vaccines still have emergency use, um,
Mm-mm-mm.
no one even wakes up to that. Like, yeah, I would never
Sorry
pass
about
testing if it had such a high amount of adverse reaction, but because it's emergency use, people are like, well, yeah,
that.
but more people would like die of COVID-19. Like, okay, if you say so, but you know, I'm still gonna take my chances of just being out in the world. No mention either of 80 something percent of people who have died of COVID-19 actually died with comorbidities. Number one of which being obesity.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's ironic though. It's the most like it's the most humorous of arguments. All of what is happening right now. I
Yeah,
mean, it couldn't be any more backwards. And like the
right.
people who see it, and the people who don't, they either don't see it or they're like tricking their brain. Maybe
Yeah,
they're brainwashing themselves. I don't want to say brainwashing themselves. It's hard to explain, man. Like it's hard to explain what is it that's causing them to not see beyond the veil.
right. And that's not even mentioning like what you have up on your screen now, which is very important. This is from the CDC.
Yeah,
Uh, from 2019 to 2020, 38 million flu cases, and then from 2020 to 2021, less than 2,000 flu cases. Of course, they've supplanted some of those numbers into being labeled COVID-19, mainly because there's been financial incentive for doctors to list it as COVID-19. I believe for every COVID-19 case in a hospital, it's like a grant of like automatically 38,000 going to that hospital or something.
36 I heard.
36. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but those numbers fluctuate because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many different companies doing it now
Yeah.
that the numbers, just with regards to competition amongst each other, are probably fluctuating. So doctors are probably making a killing right now because pharmaceutical companies are all going out there trying to make the money off of those doctors. I mean, look at look at the same research that Tucker Carlson did on the what is that? The Jewish family, the pharmaceutical company, the Sangers, the Slingers, the
Yeah. Singlers.
Singers,
Yeah.
Sanglers, the
Yeah.
Sanglers. There you go. I mean, did you hear about how that story transpired?
No,
Did
I
you
just
hear
heard
it?
about the story.
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, it's almost like something like you see out of the movie Enron. They had
Mm.
an entire army of sales agents hitting the streets and hitting the country, mostly in rural like areas where the income and education bracket was very on the low end, I would say, so
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage basically of the dumb and the poor, the same way the residential housing market crashed on the dumb and the poor as well in the early or in the late 2010s, because
Yeah.
they went after the dumb people essentially to give them loans that during that time, right? Well, what these pharmaceutical sales agents were doing is they were selling it to doctors who knew which patients were dumb enough to buy these pills and keep taking them.
Wow.
They just knew which ones which ones to sell them to, in
Yeah.
essence, and they just kept the pills flying through, man, flying through and flying through. I don't know what happened all of a sudden, man. I disconnected it for 1 second.
Oh, your camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. In the meantime, I'll keep bridging this gap. We were just talking about financial um, backing of things by big pharma
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, I saw
incentivize.
this. Yeah, good
Yeah,
stuff, dude. Good stuff.
yeah. So of
Did you
course
send me this?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was like, what the fuck? This is totally off the wall, man. How can
Mhm.
this? Oh man, how can these group, bro? How can these people like get away with this, bro?
Dude, I don't
How
know.
could these people get away with this? It's like they're flaunting it like out in the open. Hello,
Mhm.
we are paying. The pharmaceutical companies are paying us to say that these vaccines are good. You know? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. For the audience of anyone just listening and not watching, American Academy of Pediatrics wants all kids masked until vaccinated. Let's go to their website and see who their biggest donor is. Pfizer. Yeah, so that basically means the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is probably the most influential group involving the care for children, is basically going to be pushing for our kids to be vaccinated, and I think thanks to the money coming in from Pfizer. Oh, you're back, sweet. Thanks to the money coming in from Pfizer, it's going to be 1-year-olds possibly getting the jab, and I will not. I will not let
Over
that
my dead
happen.
body, brother. Over my dead body.
Yeah, I'm gonna go live out in the woods before I let that happen to my little
All right,
one.
man. You wanna take up some of my land? I just bought some.
We're at well, what general region? Because we are live recording.
I'm not telling.
Okay. Well, you let me know.
There's no way I'm telling, dude. Not
Yeah.
a chance. I'm gonna be hidden, bro. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even gonna like. I'm not gonna cultivate it for a while. I'm just gonna let it sit there. And I'm just gonna like buy some stuff little by little, send it over there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's gonna be my backup, man. That's gonna be my zombie apocalypse, last man stand kind of thing, dude. So if you're ready, I've got it's like 13 acres, so almost 13
Nice.
acres.
Nice. Anything more than 10 is plenty. Um, you
It
should
doesn't
also.
it doesn't have a lot of wood though. That's the only thing. But
That's
wood
right.
is so expensive, man. Like to find land right now with wood, with
Mm-hmm.
trees, with good trees, bro.
Yeah, that's hard to find. Um, yeah, you should get a handgun soon. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear Biden publicly stated that he wants to work to remove handguns?
Well, what is going to be left then? I don't get it.
Nothing, because
Well,
like
what's
98% of all guns are handguns. So
that doesn't even make sense, dude. Why would what a douchebag?
yeah,
He's totally selling out his country, man. How shameful! A United States president not loving his own country. What is that all about, dude? That doesn't even make sense to me, man.
yeah, yeah. It was like in a town hall. Uh, one of his handful of the ones he's ever had his entire presidency, and he basically said we need to do more because there are handguns that could shoot like 120 rounds or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck? It doesn't make sense.
You know, speak of town halls,
Mm-hmm.
I called. I kind of had it up to here with it, man. With
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Biden, the whole hypocrisy behind the Justice Department going
Uh-huh.
after whoever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Like I saw the news segments today on how Hunter, um, not only is he making money off of like art that he's selling using the presidential name, but
Mm.
then at the same time they dropped all investigation on his laptop. And so for me, somebody who's been like targeted by the police for stupid shit, whether it's jaywalking, registration tickets,
Yeah.
parking with the back of my butt of my truck sticking out exactly 11 inches past the red. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that, where like they would tow me and I would have to pay like $800 or $400 to get it out, you know?
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, this piece of shit
Mm-hmm.
gets away with like child porn and fucking prostitution and
Buying
federal
guns
drug
illegally.
abuse.
Yeah.
No, like, and so I
Yeah.
literally called first Feinstein's office. I called San Francisco. Then I called DC. Then I called Kamala Harris, her LA office. Then DC. Then I called Brad Sherman's San Fernando Valley office.
You didn't call
And
Pelosi?
she's it would be like it would be like it would be like calling George Bush to ask him for like help with math.
Math
You know what I
homework.
mean? Like
Yeah.
with you know like no,
Yeah.
it's not gonna. It would have been a waste of time. I chose the three that Brad Sherman I have a little bit of respect for, whether it's any at all, because he's a Democrat and he's part of the machine. But I have a little because he's been our rep for a while, and I thought I'd call. I've met him a couple times, and um, anyways, him. And then I had to go for the horse's mouth, man. Like Kamala Harris and Feinstein. Feinstein's on the Judiciary Committee,
Mm-hmm.
so of course I called her to find out, and she's a senior member. So
Yeah.
I called her office literally just to not to fight, because I'm sure a lot of people call just to bark. I literally called with the problem and the real question of what she's planning on doing about it, because obviously there's no solution I could give that could possibly, besides like investigate him, you know what I mean? Like besides that, I want to know what she's already doing. She's on the Judiciary Committee.
Right.
What is she doing about the president's son being caught with like such a like inappropriate and illegal activities on his
Right.
laptop?
Yeah.
How is that not being investigated? But Rudy Giuliani's office gets raided for FARA violations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that the American Israeli Political Action Committee has abused time and time again. So don't give me this bullshit that
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani broke FARA, because
Yeah.
APAC has been doing it since 1964.
Right. Yeah, and who was the guy who was like the Trump campaign manager who got arrested by the FBI?
There's a couple, man.
Right.
Lewandowski.
Mm-hmm.
There was another gentleman who was young, and he had his girlfriend called on him because I guess she said he was like stressed out and he had a gun or whatever. And then the police showed up and then they arrested him. That guy.
Nope.
I don't know his name. And then just 2 days ago, another gentleman from Trump's team was just arrested for some tax thing. Dude, Biden is literally doing everything that Trump should have done to the Clinton machine
Mm-hmm.
to us. I don't
Yeah,
get
he
that.
said. Yeah, Trump said that in the debates. If I were president, he'd be in jail. Which I was
Right.
like, hell
So
yeah.
so I'm looking
Yeah.
back now, like, what the fuck did he do? He didn't do anything, and instead he's doing his enemies are doing exactly what he said he was gonna do, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's insane
That's
because like
beyond me, man.
when I think about it, I'm reminded of what book is it that talks about when a new president comes into office, they were brought into a back room and showed the the true angle of the Kennedy assassination.
Huh,
Um,
never heard of this one.
yeah, it's some famous book that I haven't read, but I keep hearing about it. But I believe that
Wow.
to be true. Like Trump, just like Kennedy, shows me like how little power a president really has when the media isn't on his side or he's not on the same side as like the real powers that be potentially. But that reminds me. Have you heard about Maricopa?
Uh, kind of. I haven't, the whole auditing thing. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
let that play out. I'm not really
yeah.
focusing so much on it because if I do, it's gonna be a complete waste of my time. Honestly, like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's gonna be up and down and up and down. And honestly, they're gonna try to hijack this, dude.
Yeah.
You
Oh, the
already
media
know it.
already has. Yeah.
How
The yeah the Senate president of Maricopa has called for the Biden electors to be recalled. But just like how Dominion was blocking that investigation, they didn't come out. But the biggest piece of evidence that's come out from that investigation or that forensic audit is that 75,000 ballots came in that were never sent out,
What do you
and
mean?
mail in ballots, a million went out, 1,075,000 came back in one county.
What?
Yeah, and Trump,
75,000 fake mail-in
yeah,
ballots?
yeah, and they found it to be printed on unofficial paper and all that. So it's
Are they
just like,
doing an investigation yet of where they came from, or they're just kind of like announcing it? And then what's happening with that? When was that announced? That's crazy, dude.
yeah, that was announced late last week, I think Thursday.
Oh, okay. That's strange
Um,
that I haven't heard anything about it.
yeah, the
Wow.
media has been like accident. Even social media like YouTube keeps
Unbelievable.
taking the video down of the hearing. Uh, but
What?
yeah,
What?
uh huh.
How is this even legal, dude? What
It's
the
not.
fuck is happening here?
It's not. Well, it's just like the Biden administration saying one week that we're not colluding, and the next week saying, oh, we are actually flagging posts actively, and we want social media to. If one guy's banned on Twitter, the guy should also be banned on Facebook. Um, but yeah, that active silencing of a voice is happening, and not just with what happened starting in March of 2020. I love that. But related to what's happening in Maricopa, there's another forensic audit starting up in Georgia, and from that one, in the small sampling, it found 60% of the votes that came in
What do you
were
think is going to happen with all of this? It's not. Is it? Do you think it's going to overturn the election? You think?
well, the longer it goes, the harder it is to believe. But what the people in the dark web circles believe is that, um, like, six
I'm not asking
governors.
what the dark web circles think. I'm asking you what you think, dude. Do you think
Yeah,
there's anything substantial going to come out of this?
I have a minimum belief and a maximum belief. My minimum belief
Okay, let's
is,
hear it.
yeah, minimum is like, uh most states will by 2022 fix the election laws and require IDs to vote. That's the minimum
Okay,
because of what's come out in Arizona, and there being 23 other states go into Arizona and watch the forensic audit live. Um, that's the
nice.
minimum. Maximum is we could see Trump as president before 2022 again.
Yeah.
Somewhere in
Well,
between those two
how
things is
how
going to
how
happen.
on earth would they allow that to happen, man? That would be World War III, dude. That would be like Civil War, World War III.
Yeah, military would obviously have to be involved if that were to happen. But
So
again,
crazy,
the dark web people, the Q people. By saying that letter alone, I've already shadow banned this video probably. They believe that there was a meeting in the Pentagon between governors this last week, and six governors were already arrested in the Pentagon, and like six governors have like disappeared since then. That's
man.
those
What?
are the rumblings happening right
Which
now as we speak.
six? Which six? Republican ones?
Whitmer being one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so this is like a military action, not a Biden action. Yeah, that's the only one I remember off the top of my head. Kemp, I think another one, Georgia.
What?
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
he's liberty friendly. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the all because of that phone call that happened between Trump and him, where he went to the media and said, "Hey, Trump's threatening me," and then it made Trump look really bad around
Wow.
Biden's
He did
election.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What a wimp, dude. Like, why would he do that? That was the guy who I sent you a link of a long time ago, and he was the one that was like, I think I sent it to you,
Yeah.
where he was like the one running for governor, and he shot something out like he's like, don't mess with Georgia, and then like he shot his shotgun out in the middle of a field or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
But
him.
yeah, when all this happens, especially like with stuff like that, people who are obviously liberty friendly, it seems, it really makes me wonder about like who gets threatened. Whose family gets put in a van
Right.
and
Right.
tied up or something. Is what I wonder when stuff like that happens.
Ben Swan. He
Yes,
just
absolutely.
disappeared 2010, I think it was 2012, 13. No, but
Yeah.
then there was But then you have to think also like guys like Thomas Macy and uh, Justin Amash, like all of the fights and Ron Paul, all of the fighting that they did throughout
Yeah.
their tenures or careers, and nothing happened to them, you know? And so, like, it's crazy though, because the only ones that are really usually only always assassinated are the good ones, and then the bad ones just get away with it, dude. Like, no one even tries to shoot the or kill off the bad ones or, you know, pick off the bad ones. Like Dick Cheney, I can't think of any times like anybody's ever tried killing him except for once, and that was his friend when they were hunting. No, that was him killing
He
his
killed his
shooting his
friend. Or
friend.
no, he
That's
shot
right.
his friend. His friend
He shot his
survived.
friend.
Yeah.
I think there was one event where somebody tried assassinating Cheney, but uh, and then that segues into his daughter Liz. Like she
Yeah.
was picked by Nancy Pelosi
Yeah.
to be on the January 6th commission. What the heck kind of crap is that? Like that's disgusting. How could she, bro? How could her constituents allow this, man? I would be so up in arms if my representative was Liz
Mm,
Cheney, bro.
yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
Well,
That's worse than a Democrat. She's worse than a Democrat.
yeah. She's a pretend ally, ultimate rhino.
She's a snake. She's
Yeah.
a fucking snake, and she's a warmongering snake at that, dude.
Right.
So,
No.
man, that's I can't believe her Wyoming residents are like allowing her to keep going. Honestly,
Well, when I think of Cheney, I immediately go to like, well, how did Joe Biden and like Maxine Waters, Feinstein, Pelosi, Schumer, they've all had their posts for like 30, 40, some 50 years, and
I
you
guess
know,
because
yeah,
if you're corrupt, you can dig your claws into the dirt.
right, and well, Dominion obviously helps with that, given certain districts.
And then in doing so allows for their allies in Israel and abroad who are in
Hmm.
charge of surveillance, of cyber security, of all these kind of new technological advances to be able to like hijack elections and then have control over your enemy, whether it's through knowledge or threat. I mean, like there's so many ways that they can now. So whenever you hear this, like, well, if you have nothing to hide, you know, well, fuck you. What if they use anything against me in the future? That, like,
Right.
for example, everything now is racial, right?
Hmm.
So what if in like 5 years, just because we said the word Jew
Yeah.
now, in 5 years from now, we'll be considered criminals? Think about that.
Yeah, they're going after the First Amendment for sure. Now you have to in certain uh, counties, and this is actually luckily the Supreme Court's fighting back on this. In certain counties, you can't misgender someone, and the Supreme Court just said like, it's a breach of the First Amendment. But it's just like what happens in like San Jose. San Jose is trying to require people, if you want to be a gun owner, you have to pay a special insurance, and then the Supreme Court says, "Whoa, you can't do that." So it's just
Okay, but did you?
leadership.
That's very similar to what I just heard about
Yeah,
in France. Did you hear what they passed in France? This
you have
new
to get the vaccine.
Orwellian. No,
Okay, what?
it's a new Orwellian lockdown rule that says that the only the only way you can go out to the store to buy groceries or to the club or to the movies or to the bookstore is by getting the government permission first.
Holy shit!
Yeah, dude,
Well, Italy
it's
during their
escalating.
lockdown, yeah,
No, no, no,
it's
like I'm talking
something
about, like
similar.
this is becoming an exponential like frog and boil
Yeah,
right now, and they're gonna speed it up, dude. This is the it's called the Fibonacci sequence, man. You know
yeah,
this, where like you start very small, but like the more times you go in circles, the
yeah,
exponential it
yep,
gets like so big where it's like mind spinning, dude. And that's what's happening right now. These fuckers are trying to take advantage of the fact that all of the populations are scared shitless about breaking ordinances. Bro, I have not been out with a mask like I don't even know, like for a month, maybe, like at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
before I would even like kind of like put on my chin, just literally to cover my beard. It was actually kind of cool. It would keep my beard clean. So I would do that, and it would like I would basically use that as the argument. I'm still wearing it. I would
Yeah.
put it on my head even like a hat. Literally, my son would
Yeah.
laugh, dude. I would put on my head like a hat anywhere I go, and they would give me looks, but no one would say anything. Now, for like the past month, maybe even longer, I don't even wear any. I don't take anything. I don't even fuck with it. I'm the only one in the store without them, and like no one says anything. No one
Yeah.
says anything, dude.
I know in your county they want to bring back mask requirement.
They have already. So that's
Oh.
what I'm saying is that now I'm like I'm the only one walking around in the cities, me and my son, with
Yeah.
no masks, and like no one says anything. I swear to God, I hope someone says something to me. I've
Right.
called.
Do you freeze?
Metro Transit Authority, and
Oh.
I've got word from all three supervisor divisions that says they're not going to enforce the mask mandates. They can't.
Right.
But everyone has signs that says it's the rule that you must wear a mask, but no one's going to be enforcing them.
Yeah.
So why the heck are all of these sheep being led to slaughter and they are not like stepping out of line? It's so frustrating. And this is what's causing that frog boiling in the water mentality is that now, because these monstrous governments know that these idiots are.
I think you froze again.
I woke, they're separating, man. Like, I don't know if you ever saw that movie Divergent or Convergent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like the special ones that were like they could do other things, they could see other things, they could sense other things, bro. Like they're filtering us out, man. And I think that's part of the mask mandates is to see which ones are the fighters and which ones are not. That's a great way to see who is not because, or who is because then that shows their entire face and all the CCTV surveillance cameras from all over the country. Like
Yeah.
whoever's not wearing masks during a mask mandate, get camera on that person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like kind of like you fuck yourself either way, basically. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, I got to split here, but this is great. I'm gonna basically post this whole thing other than like private information, and then it'd be a
All
good
right,
episode.
all right, man.
I'll be talking to you soon, man.
We'll talk soon.